Hello and welcome back to James's studio, more specifically my apprenticeship series. This video we are talking about the endpoint assessment. Now this is what you do at the end of the apprenticeship, it's kind of in the title, and this is essentially the qualification you get in doing the production apprenticeship scheme. Now the endpoint assessment is formed up of two main parts, the first being the project, the research project you do, and the second is the pitch and professional discussion. Now, these are done at separate parts at the end of the scheme, the first being the research project. Now for the research project, you are given a brief in which you have to come up with an idea and write a proposal for. You send this off to the awarding body, who will then come back to you and say, yes, we like it, make it, or no, we don't like it, make some changes, and then make that. It's very rare that they'll turn around to you and say, no, we don't like it. They're more often than not, they're just happy for you to make whatever you're passionate about. It's kind of like a passion project, but you've got to meet certain criteria to show that throughout the scheme, you've learned something and how it relates to industry. So essentially it's proving that you are ready to go into the industry. So the research project is made up of two parts, the first being a written piece, which is around 2,000 words, so it's not too bad. And what I found was that allowed me to tick off the criteria quite easily because I was able to put it into words and know that I've done it, whereas in the second part, which is an audio-visual piece to go alongside the written piece. Now I found with an audio-visual piece, kind of like just a sit-down video like this, sometimes I'll get distracted and I won't say all the things I need to say. So having the written piece to really nail the criteria was beneficial for me. So that's the first part of the project. And for me, I did my proposal on the 6th of September. And then you get a 3-day window. Three-day window. Oh my god. You get 3 days to do the research project, like the written piece and the video piece. And that was given to me on the 18th, so it's about 2 weeks before you get the approval from the awarding body. And you go off and make that and submit all of that. Now, if you are just starting the production apprenticeship scheme, what I highly recommend is from the start, and we were told this, but we all ignored this really crucial piece of information, is to keep some form of learning journal. They say this all throughout the scheme, and they are a pain in the ass to do, but they genuinely are so useful when it comes to the endpoint assessment. Because it's just nice to be able to look back and be like, this is what I did then, and this is how this is what I took from that experience. Which leads me into the second part of it. So, I did the proposal on the 6th of September, project on the 18th, submitted that on the 20th of September, which was my sister's wedding. How unfortunate. And then there's about a week and a half to 2 weeks before you can do the second part, which is the set test and the professional discussion. The set test is basically kind of like what you do at the assessment centre, where you're given a brief, just come up with an idea and pitch it. You get given this brief and you have 30 minutes to prepare for it, and in that 30 minutes, this is what I did. I did all of my notes about the show to meet the brief, and you get to take these in with you to the assessor. My brief was to come up with a short series, a drama series for either BBC One, ITV1, or I think it was Sky Atlantic. And that was basically, it was very brief, the brief. It was very short, it didn't really have much criteria, it just said to think about your genre, your target audience, your budget, and lots of things like that. So off I went and I made my notes. One thing that I strongly recommend, especially if you're going into BBC or any major production company, is if you do have to come up with an idea like this, or you do come up with any ideas throughout your time, keep them to yourself, because if you tell someone and they decide to commission it, there is a very strong chance you will get zero credit for it, because it's all to do with intellectual property and you do not own that. So that's just a little side tip. Keep your ideas to yourself. But back to the endpoint assessment. So you'll go into a room with your assessor, and you also have someone from the scheme, whether it be your so you have like your endpoint assessor and your assessor with like the college side of things. Now that person may be in, or it may be one of the other college tutors, or even one of the scheme managers. Now for me, I had my scheme manager in there with me, and that's really useful because yes, they are there to interview you. They are there to essentially get the best out of you. Now so you'll have 5 minutes to pitch your idea, followed by another 5 to 10 minutes of questions. Now you have your assessor from that and then the assessor from the awarding body who is quite ticking your criteria, and that person will give you the grade. But you have I had my scheme manager there, and she was asking me lots of questions, but it wasn't to trip me up, it was questions to get the best out of me because she knew what I was capable of. So that's really nice to have, especially a familiar face in an unfamiliar environment. So that's the set test with the endpoint assessment, and then the final bit is a professional discussion. Now this lasts for around 45 minutes, which sounds crazy, it sounds scary, but in fact it is the complete opposite, because you are just talking about your experience and you're summing up your year. For me, these are the only notes I made for the professional discussion, and it's just a case of what I did on Strictly, what I did on Comic Relief, Eurovision, Glastonbury, Jules Holland. And they will ask you certain questions like, how did you work on a piece from start to finish in the development process? And at first that question's really confusing, but for me I thought, well, development, I came with an idea on Strictly and I took that through to the end. So you talk about that experience and you just go into a bit of detail, and it is a professional discussion, but it's a chat really. So they'll ask you questions, they'll give you kind of cues, okay, cool, and then they're ticking things off, and then you've got your person that also asking questions, just picking up on little bits, because they know, they spent the entire year with you, they know what you've done. So they may just chip in and be like, well, how exactly did that happen? Did you have to do anything extra? Hinting we know you did some volunteering as well. How did you they'll give you little cues and tips, which is all really simple. And the 45 minutes flies by. And the same for the pitch. When I had this information for my pitch, I looked at that, I was like, there is no way I can make that last 5 minutes. And they give you a 1 minute cue, so it's all voice recorded for the assessor and no one else sees it. And she gives you, or mine gave me a 1 minute one. She was like, and I was like, shit, I've got so much still to go through this. And then you start to hurry it up and get the really important things through. It's actually a really relaxed process, especially if you're prepared. Now, the college team are fantastic. They prepare you throughout the year for endpoint assessment. It sounds quite scary, but when you really just stop and think about it, you have been prepared without really realising it throughout the year. And if you do keep your learning journals up to date, it's just so much easier to go back when you're looking for these examples to make the professional discussion easier. I hope that's of some use to any of you who are curious about doing the scheme or are on the scheme and worried about EPA. I've just completed it. I'm still waiting for my grade back, but I'm fairly confident I've done well. It's nothing to really worry about, and if you are about to sit it, good luck. You're on the scheme for a reason. You can, literally, it's super simple. You've got this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.